initiative, and I believe can be legally interpreted, I must oppose that ballot initiative. If it were only to prevent uranium mining, I would likely support it and be the first one to sign the petition. In that case, all that's required is a simple declarative statement: there shall be no uranium mining in Michigan, period, and you now have a ballot initiative that accomplishes your objective. Instead of the 6 very tightly written pages of various regulations that, as other speakers I think have noted, are really to the point that it would preclude any mining. And certainly it will have a very negative effect on all mining in the Upper Peninsula, be it iron, copper, nickel, even limestone, what we do in the west end of the UP, east end. If the initiative were only about mining on the Yellow Dog Plains and its sensitivity to Lake Superior, that's a different story too. But it isn't. The initiative is about all mining, everywhere, including the Lower Peninsula. And that's what makes it so very wrong. Again, taking the management of it, taking it away from the professionals that we have who can determine the rules and regulations that are applicable and appropriate. Now, I know the proponents are going to say, no, it doesn't affect iron mining, it's only about uranium mining and sulfide mining. There is, of course, no sulfide mining, it's nickel mining, or copper mining. But once the lawyers get a hold of it, and in turn the judges get a hold of it on both sides, it's Katie bar the door. You don't know what's going to happen with that legislation. We all know how lawyers work and how judges judge. And we also know, I think, that as a matter of policy, the City Commission should only involve itself in issues that directly affect the city. But based on the very clear potential negative impact to the mining industry in the Upper Peninsula and the direct importance of that industry to this city, this one does directly affect the city of Marquette. While the mines themselves, for example, the iron mines, are not within the city limits, a great deal of the money generated from those mines does come through the city of Marquette in a variety of ways. Our restaurants, our retail, our medical facilities, our citizens living locally and working at the mines, our educational institutions, all of them depended certainly on the income from the mines. And they have done so for 160 years, as Commissioner Ryan pointed out. It is also equally clear, I think, that whatever this commission does, and I've heard this, let the people decide. Well, that's true. The people will decide. The action this commission takes will really mean nothing, because the voters are going to decide the issue. And as Commissioner Ryan alluded to, 3% of us live in the Upper Peninsula. 97% of the voters in this state are in the Lower Peninsula. So we effectively have no functional voice in politics in this state. We are simply overwhelmed by the numbers. So again, the people will decide this initiative. It is clearly in their hands, not in the hands of this commission. We're simply looking at a resolution. And I would point one more thing out. When we look at the environmental issues that are facing and stressing the Great Lakes today, this pales to nothing in comparison. We have the Asian carp that are within perhaps a mile of Lake Michigan. We have everybody wringing their hands on what to do. Federal government, state government, nobody knows. When they hit the lake, and they will decimate a $7 billion fishing industry. And from an environmental perspective, that is a disaster of biblical proportions. We have the Marathon Oil Company on the St. Clair River that's expanding. What's the air and water pollution that will result from that? We have brand new petrochemical plants being built on the Canadian side of the St. Clair. Where's the advocates looking at those issues? We have transportation on the Great Lakes every day with petroleum tankers and petrochemical tankers. Who's looking out for those issues? Those are significant economic, and not so economic, but significant environmental concerns right now that can happen tomorrow. And where are the advocacy groups that are fighting those issues? So again, if you look at what the concern is locally, it is very minor compared to the issues that are facing the entire Great Lakes structure that we really need to be focused on. And again, as Commissioner Ryan, I recognize that we all have different opinions on this. We're going to look at things differently. And That's the great strength, I think, of our city and our society. The ability to look at things differently, the ability to have civil discourse on them, to have, in other words, to agree to disagree. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments? Commissioner Neely?
I have a few short comments regarding this. I will support the resolution, and we were requested to abstain from it. We don't have the option of abstaining. Once it's on the floor, the charter requires that we vote yes or no. We cannot abstain from the question. But I think I support the resolution against the initiative for three reasons. One, I think the issue is too complex to do by initiative. This is an extremely complex issue that should be debated like the original 632 rules and legislation were debated in the legislature and with the experts who can debate it, rather than with sound bites or papers or so-called facts on one side or the other. It's going to be too complex for voters to really understand and make an intelligent decision. I do appreciate the emails I got on it. I did go to the Michigan Water website. I looked at the actual ballot language, and it was difficult to understand because it not only has the 6 pages that the initiative covers, but it also refers back to the existing legislation, and there's no information on that. I know where to go to get it, but it's too much to really do, and you do by initiative. I cherish the right that we have for initiative and referendum, but I think this is just too complex an issue for the voters to intelligently vote on. It really needs to be in the legislative process where the issues can be vetted, explained, and all experts can weigh in on both sides of the issue. Finally, I think the future of the mining industry is important to the UP, and the vagaries of the political campaign are not the way to decide the question. I think, as I mentioned previously, it just isn't a good issue for initiative.
Thank you. Additional, Commissioner Miller?
Yes, I apologize for my voice. Sometimes it comes back, but I feel that it's easy to view this, or attempting to view this, only as an emotional issue, but I really think it is an economic issue, and we all have to recognize that these mining jobs have long been important in the UP and to the state of Michigan as a whole, and we all benefit from substances that are mined, whether they're mined in our city or in our town or our area or in a foreign country. Those substances come from someplace, and we all in our modern life use those things and benefit from them. And so I think that we need to look at this in the economic sense, and also we have to realize that this ballot initiative is a broad instrument, and I think it's too broad. I mean, there are going to be mines that, with good reasons, should be opposed. And perhaps because I've been a part of government for several years, first I was on our school board, and now several years on the commission here, that I do have faith in government, in the rules and the way they're established, the process the legislature goes through to produce them. And so I think we need to give that process an opportunity to work. I do rely on the experts that have gone through this from both sides that oppose those rules. And so I think that we need to give this opportunity, and I will support the resolution as well. Sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Sinash?
First off, thank you to everyone for taking the time to come tonight. As has been stated a number of different times by everybody here, it's an emotional issue. There are viable arguments for and against on both sides of the table. As a new guy on the commission, I'm not so sure why this issue comes before us, to be honest with you. Why we're taking the amount of time that we're taking to address this issue. Not that it's not important, but I would argue that there are many good things that we need to discuss here as a member of this commission that we need to take up.